Brief DVM's coming at you with kind of a time lapse of how we do our chickens. Kind of a start to finish. It's an 8-week process. So you can see it starts out with the baby chicks coming in and they're on towels. It's a big rubber matted chicken coop. Got the Premier One light there above them. I like that light the best because if the bulb breaks, most of it stays within the plastic housing, doesn't start a barn fire. Chicks are pretty cute when they come in. Now they're ready up to almost 5 or 6 days old there. So we start moving them out of the way. We pull up the towels because that gives them good footing there for those first 3 or 4 days. And then we put down some shavings and real light. At this point, the birds are a week old. They're just starting to get those little white pin feathers. Here they're just past a week old. You can see they've got their little white pin feathers. Here they're on the 2-week mark. You get into that 3-week mark here. See, they're really starting to eat. We just keep adding shavings as we need to. So we get into the 4th and 5th weeks here. They start running around more. It's been pretty cold in May here, and then as we got into June, it got hot. But as you can see, we get into that 6th, 7th, and weeks now. They're getting kind of plump, and then we get into the 8th week here, and they're pretty much butcher ready. I like the crosses. They grow fast. They're nice birds. They eat well, which is good. We have a good survival rate on the farm. Typically, we raise, anywhere between 40 and 60 of these at a time for us. Works out real well. This is at the end here. They're pecking from the waters. They're getting fat and sassy. It's pretty hot out. They're just laying around and eating. They're really nice looking birds. And I'm going to show you kind of our process as to how we do it. Typically, it's about a 2 to 3 hour event. Try to get our farm hands, my family, and my family friends involved. And we kind of set up a line here, as you can see. Now, get the birds on day 2. We feed them all the way up until 8 weeks. At the end of 8 weeks, this is all set up and planned. Starts up at the upper left screen picture, probably the easiest first. They bring in the birds, put them in the cones. From there, they go right into the scalding water, and then into the plucker with cold water, out of the plucker and into a cold water rinse, and then they hit the white tables. The white tables, the ladies take out the insides, chop off the neck, chop off the feet. The feet go to our brother-in-law. The necks go to my mother. The gizzards, the heart, and the liver are all saved. And then the chickens are either frozen in freezer bags whole, which is what I'm doing at the end of the table there, or they're chopped up. And if they're chopped up into parts, some people like half a chicken in a bag. Some people like all legs or all thighs. Whatever works is how we do it. So at this point in the game, we're just doing whole chickens, as you can see. We're processing fairly quickly through the setup. Again, the girls are bringing in the birds and putting them in the cones. Then from cones, they're going into the scald. The scald's 145 degrees. They're in it for about a minute and a half. And we're dropping them into the plucker, which has a cold water spray, probably for another 30 seconds to a minute, then into cold ice water. Taken out of cold ice water, eviscerated, and then their necks, legs taken off. And then I weigh them, and I freezer lock them, and then into the freezer they go. As you can see, as we get through the day, kind of switch positions. We set up another table. This little side table off the side is where we're going to take some of those birds and we're going to cut those into parts. So legs and thighs and breasts. And then those will get bagged according to the family members' wishes. So as you can see, we kind of split off to the side here and kind of have a side table where somebody's got plenty of room just to kind of cut up birds while the assembly keeps going. Typically, if I get enough people, pound through, I would say, 50 birds in 2 hours. If you take cleanup involved into it, probably 3. Really don't need a lot for supplies. You need something to make water come to 145 degrees to scald the birds in. In our case, we use a big turkey pot. Um, it's nice to have a plucker. I've got a used plucker from a chicken operation in Princeton, Minnesota that went under. So I was able to pick up a plucker years back. You need a good vacuum sealer. Highly recommend it. Maybe even two. One just to seal the ends of the bags and one to actually vacuum seal the chickens. But regardless, I've got a nice Cabela's one. It seems to hold up pretty good. You need a few bowls, one for gizzards and with some water in it so you can, wash those out and stuff. And certainly one for, heart and liver. And a nice bucket for the legs is good. Legs can be cooked down. They make a nice gelatin. There's a little bit more ethnic dishes you can do with it, but they're good use. Very little of the bird gets wasted, folks. Pretty much all the feathers and stuff are going to get composted out. The internal organs will get thrown into the compost, and then everything else will get eaten. Typically, a freezer-locked whole bird like this for us is probably around 5.5 pounds, maybe 6. I tend not to push them up into the 7s or the 8s. They get a little top heavy and we occasionally lose a bird. Plus, if they're that big, sometimes they just a little bit more yellow and fatty when you get into them. Don't really like them in those, low 5s and 4s though either. A little bit too Cornish game head style, if you know what I mean. So really try to get them between 5.5 and 6. This time we had a couple 7-pounders slip through and a couple 6.5s. I think we had 2 birds that were in the high 4s, so a little light, but they might have been hens too. Sometimes you don't always get a perfect pick, if you know what I mean. Process-wise, this is the way to do it, folks. These birds are healthy all the way through. There's no chemicals or crap in them. There's plenty of good nutrition in the birds. They've got a nice quality of life for the 8 weeks they're around. They're pretty comfortable. And then with this process going as fast as it goes, I would say a bird probably is into the freezer, give or take, within probably less than 20 minutes of when it's been killed. That's pretty decent, folks. And it's definitely the way we do it on the farm. This kind of experience is good for kids. Certainly teaches them where their food comes from. As you can see now, I'm finishing up the bagging here, and they're cleaning up. And within a matter of minutes, the whole entire process will be done. It's the only way to do it, folks. Use your family, work as a family, eat as a family. It's the best way of doing it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Again, it's kind of a time lapse of how we do it. Again, from start to finish. Not real depth information, but just the way we do it, just showing how we do it. Thanks.